Morning all guys and dear students. You have noted these remaining word meanings or textual short answer type questions as well as which I have given to you the next any three additional short answer type questions from this story. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Today the explanation for comprehensive listening and understanding from this story is like this. As you know from the description of the authoress that she analyzes the grinding poverty and traditions which condemned these children to a life of exploitation. In this story, there's a boy named Sahib whom the authoress encounter every morning looking for gold in the garbage dumps of her neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago, set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory for him. There was many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left. Looking for gold means for bread in the big city where he now lives. Authoress asks him, why they do this? Sahib answers her that he had nothing else to do. Looking away, authoress said to him that go to school. Realizing immediately how empty the advice is, it means advice had no substance to him, saying, go to school. There is no school in his neighborhood. He says that when they, means the government, build one, he will go there. Authoress said to him that if she starts a school, will he come? Half joking, then the boy Sahib replied to the authoress that yes, smiling widely, openly. A few days later, authoress saw him running up to her and he asks her that is her school ready? Authoress replied to him that it takes longer to build a school. Ashamed at having a promise that was not meant, but promises like the authoress abound encircled in every corner of his dreary, dark and dull world. After months of knowing him, authoress asks him his name. He tells his name to the authoress, Sahib A. Alam. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Over the months, the authoress had come to recognize each of them. She asked one of them, why aren't you wearing chappals? He answered to the authoress that his mother had not brought them down from the shelf. Even if she did, he will throw them off, adds another of the boy who is wearing shoes that no match. When she comment on it, he shuffles his feet and saying nothing. He said, I want shoes. The third boy, who has never worn a pair all his life. Traveling across the country, the authoress had seen children walking barefoot in cities in blazed roads. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. Author has wondered if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty, a never ending condition of being poor. She remembered a story a man from Udupi once told her. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, he visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. In the backyard where lived the new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on a folding bed. Looking at the boy, she remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys, like the son of the priest, now wore shoes, but many others, like the rag pickers in her neighborhood, remained shoeless. Her acquaintances with the barefoot rag pickers leads her to Simapuri, a place on periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it. Metaphorically, characteristically, those who live here are sweaters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Saib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. It still is, but it is no longer empty. In structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage, drainage, or running water, live 10,000 rag pickers. They have lived here for than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voter lists and enable them to buy grain. Food is more important for survival than an identity. If at the end of the day they could feed their families and go to bed without an aching stomach, they would rather live there in than in the fields that gives no grain. Says a group of women in torn and old sari when she asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that becomes transit, temporary homes. Children grow up in them, becoming partners in survival, and survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread and a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof, but for a child, it is even more. Nice meeting to you the next day. Thank you.